Jason, good morning. How's your day going besides having to talk to elite media people?
Pretty good, Darren. How about you? You doing
Great,
all
thank
right?
you very
Besides
much.
having to talk to elite actor people.
Oh, come on. I've been a fan of yours since Drexel's class. And
Hey, look
I'm
at
not
that. Nice poll. Nice poll.
not kidding on that end, but
Are you serious? You did not remember that show.
I watched every episode of Drexel's class.
That is amazing. Brittany Murphy, come on.
Dabney Coleman, come on.
Dabney. Yep.
There you go. But we are not here to talk about Drexel's class. We're here to talk about the subject, which is such an original concept, let alone a great movie per se. Does the script, or rather, did the script look exactly like it appears on the screen, or did it evolve conceptually?
That's a really good question. I will say that I believe Lanny's vision had stayed true from the very beginning. I guess I don't want to conflate how I saw the movie when I first read the script with the final product, because I don't know that I necessarily saw it that way. And ultimately, I think it came out better. But Lanny, I think she had a very specific idea for what she wanted to do with this movie, and that held true from beginning to end. And so, it's this is not something I'm used to doing, right? This is not, going back to my Drexel's class days. This is a bit atypical for me. Now I've done drama, I've done more dramatic roles, but I would say this was the first time, certainly as an adult, that I've done it where I couldn't just rely on sort of, great script and great director and my technical abilities to deliver a line. It required a full emotional journey on my part. I'm not a drama school kid. I know how to, I like to think that I can play characters real. That my goal is always like, how do I make this guy real? Even if it's a character that's, fornicating with a pie, like, how do I make this guy seem like he could be a real dude at your school?
Yeah.
That's sort of always my goal with all of these things. But this, I couldn't just sort of get away with, oh, okay, if I say this line this way, it'll feel like real. I mean, this particularly, that final act, that confrontation with myself and Ingenue, there's no faking that. There's no acting my way out of it. Like, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to pretend to get it required me to literally go to a place emotionally that I've never had to go to as an actor before. And I couldn't have done that without Lanny's help and her direction. And I couldn't have done it without this amazing script to start with. So, ultimately for me, coming out of this experience, I was like, regardless of what people might have thought of the film, and obviously we've gotten some wonderful validation on that front. People have responded to it, which is great. But for me, I just felt like, oh, okay, I guess I can maybe do this sort of thing, So I came out of the experience, I think a better actor because of it, for sure.
Well, what I was getting at with the concept was the part about the 4 cameras, without spoiling anything for people who have not seen the full film yet. Was that in there all along, or is that a thing that evolved later on in terms of its significance?
I believe that was in there. I mean, there was certainly, no, it was. So it was, obviously there was the sort of the lens through which the audience sees the movie. Right. Then there was the documentary camera, the lens through which Phil sees his subject. And then, of course, there was the lens through which Phil is being filmed when the role is reversed and he becomes the subject. That was all in the script. But the way they executed it, I feel like was pretty brilliant. I mean, there were definitely days when I was on set where there'd be a camera and I was like, wait, is that my camera? Is that the audience camera? I just, I needed some clarification, but fortunately I wasn't the one directing, so I didn't have to keep track of that sort of thing.
Fair. Well,
yeah.
One of the things that I like most, if not the most, about your performance is when you have to sweet talk people into shooting them when you have to kind of give them the direction, like, look, we're going to have to do that. I'd have to imagine that that was easy to pull inspiration from, that that's your whole life of acting. The thing that you don't want to do, the person having to talk you into that, like that one, you didn't have to do a lot of research on, I would imagine.
No, I mean, I've worked with enough directors to sort of, and I know the good ones and I know the bad ones, the ones that are the directors who are able to, connect with an actor and sort of get them to do what they need them to do versus the directors who are not able to, and the directors that you don't want to go to those places for. And so, yeah, that's actually a good point. I never actually really thought about that, but it'll certainly help that while I'm playing this character who needs to do that with his subjects, I'm being directed. Jason is being directed by Lanny, who is one of the, for me, she was wonderful at doing that, right? For a first-time director, it was kind of mind-boggling how capable, not just capable, but how good she was at saying exactly what needed to be said, saying exactly what I needed to hear at every correct moment, yeah, it was pretty wild. It was pretty wild because look, this was a scary thing for me. I mean, first time filmmaker, super dramatic role, not something I'm used to doing. But all of my sort of fears were, put to the side almost immediately. Basically, at my first meeting with Lanny, I was like, oh, she knows what she's doing. I think I'm in good hands.
Glad to hear that much.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big documentary fan. Pretty much people give me movie recommendations all the time. And I'll say, if it's not a comedy, it's not a documentary, it's not a biopic, I'm probably not going to watch it. Are you a big documentary person in general?
It's almost all I watch. Yeah. It's funny. I probably even more than comedy, actually. I feel like, especially now, we're sort of in the, we're sort of the golden age of documentaries and docuseries in particular, right? Which is brilliant because basically it's, we don't have to spend, we don't have to cut our footage to just an hour and a half anymore. Now we can actually just do a whole series and really flesh this out. Yeah, I'm obsessed. I sit down now to watch anything, I'm going to, what is the new documentary or docuseries? I mean, 2 nights ago it was Val. I hadn't watched Val, so I checked that out. It's whatever new crime docuseries is on Netflix or whatever. I mean, that is my yeah, for sure. But even before this sort of golden age, I was still I would go see every documentary in the theater. And if I had missed them, I would collect them and watch them in a sitting. I mean, for sure. What are your favorite docs, by the way?
Well, do we count Spinal Tap, even though we know it's a documentary and not a documentary?
That's amazing. If we do, then we have to count all of Christopher Guest's movies, and let's put that in a category of its own. How about that?
For sure. Yeah. I think there's rarely a documentary I don't like, because even the worst ones, you wind up with quotable things from the interview subjects.
Yeah.
So, whereas bad comedy is bad comedy. So that's where I believe I stand. I don't know where you are.
No, that's very true. That's very true. Although bad comedy, I still find something to appreciate. I think even just, I find the humor in the fact that it is so bad, potentially. But so I tend to be even a little more open-minded, I suppose, than you. But yeah, you're right. Documentaries, ultimately, I'm going to learn something I didn't know, right? I love that component of and discovering a world that I maybe had heard about but not really explored in the past. So yeah, I agree.
Well,
and the best documentaries are able to find that story, right? That makes it feel like, this could have been a fiction. It's the thing like, it's like, oh my God, this is almost too. It's stranger than fiction, right? It's like, how do you even? Yeah.
Fair. Well, I was going to do a couple of quick topic questions, and then you'll be a free man to talk to the next, elite person that needs your time. And the first one is the show Jason Biggs's Cash at Your Door. Was that the original intended title of the show, or is that a working title joke that just became the title of the show?
It's a good question. The title of the show is Cash at Your Door, And then when I came on to host, I demanded that they put my name, that they give me ownership of the show, and that they put my name above the title. And so that's how that came. No, actually, it was sort of, they actually brought it up to me. They said, we'd like to call this Jason Biggs' Cash at Your Door. I'll tell you what the big debate is, and I actually lost this debate, even though it is my name, and this is how I have said it my whole life. They say it, Jason Biggs' Cash at Your Door, right? Even with the possessive, Jason Biggs. But I've said to them, I said, it's pronounced Jason Biggs's Cash at Your Door. And they said, no. And I'm like, guys, it's my name. I know how to pronounce Jason possessive. It's Biggs's.
Yeah.
And they said, no. They said, that's not correct English, and we're not going to do it. And I said, well, you know what? Fine. And I lost that battle. But anyway.
We can appeal this one in the future.
Thank you.
We'll petition it to move on. Next thing I want to know, my wife is a Jersey person, and Jersey people tend to want to shout to the world the accolades of being, I'm from Jersey, so is that person. Has a ballot or a petition been started to get you into the Jersey Hall of Fame?
You know what? I love that you're asking me this question. If there has been, I don't know about it, but I'll tell you what, I'd be lying if I told you that every time I walk through Newark Airport and they have different images of different New Jersey Hall of Fame members, I'd be lying if I told you I didn't secretly wish one day that I would get to be a part of the New Jersey Hall of Fame. Now, granted, some of the people you're walking by are obviously legends, right? But, listen, it's not a big state. I have something to show for, right? I mean, I feel like I've checked off a few of the boxes, right? I mean, haven't I?
That's why I'm mentioning it.
Yeah, thank you, Darren. I really appreciate that, Darren.
Duh.
Listen, if your wife has any poll in her home state, I'd greatly appreciate it.
I'll inquire. The next thing, she's from the town Belmar. Was that a town that was part of your upbringing at all?
Are you kidding me? Particularly in my college age years, going to DJs in Belmar, and drinking 1 or 20 beers there on the dance floor. Oh, Belmar is a big part of my upbringing.
There you go. And the last thing I want to know, which has nothing to do with anything, was Jason Biggs a big fan of Van Halen growing up?
That is a good question. Jason Biggs was and is a big fan of Van Halen. Yes. The answer is yes. Losing Eddie was kind of brutal. I'm not gonna lie, but I have friends. It's funny. I've never sort of like, I'm a big Van Halen fan because I have friends that are hardcore Van Halen fans. And I am not that, but I have their albums. I love them. Eddie in particular. It's definitely. I assume you're a Van Halen fan, and that's why you asked.
Die Hard, going to 5 of the David Lee Roth shows in Vegas, but you gave off Van Halen vibes there, so thank you.
Love them.
Well, congratulations on your work on the subject. Always entertaining to see what you and Jenny are doing in social media. So just keep up all the greatness on the internet, on the screen, Jason, and hope to get you in that Hall of Fame soon.
From your lips. Thanks, Darren.
Paltrocast.